man goes into a job interview and presents himself well. The employer is shocked at how professional he is. Wow, you have an incredible resume and present yourself fantastically, but you seem to be missing 5 years on this part of your resume. What happened there? The man replied, Oh, that's when I went to Yale. The employer is even more impressed. That's great, you're hired. The man is super happy and says, Yeah, I got a job.
3 blondes walk into a police station and were looking for jobs as detectives. They meet with the police chief, who says, I'm going to show you a side mugshot of a man and you need to tell me something interesting about him. He shows the picture to the first blonde and she says, he's only got one eye. The police chief responds, No, this is a side mugshot, so you will only see one eye. He shows the picture to the second blonde and she says, he's only got one ear. The police chief again responds, No, this is a side mugshot, so you will only see one ear. He shows the picture to the last blonde and she says, he wears contact lenses. Perplexed, the police chief looks through the file and sure enough, the man wore contact lenses. He says, That's oddly correct. How did you know that? The blonde responds, Well, with one eye and one ear, he can't be wearing glasses.
A man who just died is delivered to a local mortuary wearing an expensive, expertly tailored black suit. The female blonde mortician asks the deceased's wife how she would like the body dressed. She points out that the man looks good in the black suit he is already wearing. The widow, however, says that she always thought her husband looked his best in blue and that she wants him in a blue suit. She gives the blonde mortician a blank check and says, I don't care what it costs, but have my husband in a blue suit for the viewing. The woman returns the next day for the wake. To her delight, she finds her husband dressed in a gorgeous blue suit with a subtle chalk stripe. The suit fits him perfectly. She says to the mortician, Whatever this cost, I'm very satisfied. You did an excellent job and I'm very grateful. How much did you spend? To her astonishment, the blonde mortician presents her with the blank check. There's no charge, she says. No, really, I must compensate you for the cost of that exquisite blue suit, she says. Honestly, the blonde says, it cost nothing. You see, a deceased gentleman of about your husband's size was brought in shortly after you left yesterday, and he was wearing an attractive blue suit. I asked his wife if she minded him going to his grave wearing a black suit instead, and she said it made no difference as long as he looked nice. So I just switched the heads.
An Italian, a Mexican, and a blonde American are working construction. The 3 men eat lunch together each day at the top of the building they are constructing. The Italian opens his lunchbox and exclaims seriously, Spaghetti again? If my wife packs this one more time, I swear I'm jumping off this building. The Mexican opens his too. Tacos again? I'm with you. I'm jumping tomorrow if it happens again. The blonde opens up his lunchbox and pulls out a PB&J sandwich. Another PB&J. He cries. I'm jumping tomorrow too if I get a PB&J in my lunch again. The next day, the Italian opens his lunch, pulls out a Tupperware of spaghetti, and jumps to his death. The Mexican pulls out a bag of tacos and immediately follows the Italian off of the building. The blonde pulls out a PB&J, sighs, and jumps to his death as well. A few days later at the funeral, the Italian and Mexican's wives are in tears. Both exclaim that if they had known, they would have packed something different and the men would still be alive. The women notice the wife of the blonde, standing there and not shedding a tear. They ask the wife of the blonde, How can you not be upset? Your husband is dead because he kept getting the same food. The wife of the blonde replies, Don't look at me. He packed his own lunch.
A blonde woman is walking 2 dogs, one white and the other black. An old lady walking down the same street notices them, and since it's a breed she's never seen before, she's curious and walks up to the woman. Wow, these dogs are adorable. What kind are they? The blonde smiles and goes, Which one, the white one or the black one? The old lady is a little confused by this question since they look similar, but figured there was a reason. She goes along. The white one? The blonde proudly says. It is a Hungarian pulley. The old lady continues. And the black one? To which the blonde answers. Also a Hungarian pulley. The old lady finds the line of answering a little odd, but she's still curious and has more questions, so continues. Look at that coat of hair. Do they shed a lot? To which the blonde goes. Which one? The black or the white? Frustrated a little, the old lady goes along again. The white one? The blonde chimes in. No, she doesn't shed. So the old continues. And the black one? He doesn't shed either. The old lady shakes her head at this but continues her line of questioning. It must be challenging keeping them groomed. How often do you have to bathe them? The blonde recites. The white one or the black one? Hoping the answers are different this time, the old lady plays along again. The white one. Blonde goes. Twice a week. The old lady continues. And the black one? Blonde goes. Twice a week as well. The old lady has finally had it. She melts down. Why do you keep wanting me to separate my questions when your answers are the same for both of them? It would be different if they were a different breed or you didn't know the answers to one of them because you didn't own them. Now a little terrified, the blonde goes. Well, the white one is mine. The old lady, now a little repentant at her outburst, goes. And the black one? Also mine. A blonde guy walks into a bar. A hefty, muscular gun-toting blonde guy from Austin, Texas goes to a bar on his Harley Davidson. He parks the bike outside, goes in and orders a drink. Now the regulars at this bar have a habit of picking on newcomers. So when the blonde goes back, his bike is missing from its spot. He walks back in. He shouts out, "Which one of y'all fuckers stole my Harley?" Nobody answers. He caresses his gun and says, "Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get another drink, and if my bike ain't back where I left it, I'm gonna do the same thing I did back in Austin. And I don't like what I did back in Austin." True to his word, he orders a drink and goes back out, to find his Harley back where it was. As he puts on his helmet, the bar owner asks him, "If you don't mind me asking, what did you do back in Austin?" The blonde replies, "I had to walk back home."
A blonde is flying in a Boeing for the first time. She starts jumping on her seat shouting, "Boeing, Boeing, Boeing." The pilot, clearly annoyed by this, walks up to her and says, "Be silent." After a couple of seconds, the blonde starts jumping again on her seat shouting, "Oeing, oeing, oeing, asterisk." And this is okay, but I'd like them slightly longer. Asterisk. Amon called his twin brother from prison. Hey, remember when we were kids and used to finish each other's sentences?
A champion jockey is about to enter an important race on a new horse. The horse's trainer meets him before the race and says, "All you have to remember with this horse is that every time you approach a jump, you have to shout, 'Alili-o-opi,' really loudly in the horse's ear. Providing you do that, you'll be fine." The jockey thinks the trainer is mad but promises to shout the command. The race begins and they approach the first hurdle. The jockey ignores the trainer's ridiculous advice and the horse crashes straight through the center of the jump. They carry on and approach the second hurdle. The jockey, somewhat embarrassed, whispers, "Eli-up," in the horse's ear. The same thing happens. The horse crashes straight through the center of the jump. At the third hurdle, the jockey thinks, "It's no good, I'll have to do it," and yells, "Alili-opi," really loudly. Sure enough, the horse sails over the jump with no problems. This continues for the rest of the race, but due to the earlier problems, the horse only finishes third. The trainer is fuming and asks the jockey what went wrong. The jockey replies, "Nothing is wrong with me. It's this bloody horse." "What is he, deaf or something?" The trainer replies, "Deaf? Deaf? He's not deaf, he's blind."
There was once a convention for blondes intended to make them feel more confident. At the first get-together as a group, the host asked for a volunteer from the audience. When the blonde came up, he announced to the audience that he was going to ask a few simple math questions. He turned to the volunteer and asked her how much is 24 times 6. The volunteer answered at 50. The audience shouted, "Give her another chance." So the host asked, "How much is 10 and 8? The blonde replied, 14. And again the audience shouted, "Give her another chance." The host, completely flustered at this point, asked the blonde, "Well, how much is 2 and 2? The blonde answered, 4. The audience shouted, "Give her another chance."
One hot summer afternoon, a police officer pulls into a yard. The police officer then gets out of the car and asks an old gentleman, "Who owns the property?" The old man tells the officer that he does, and asks what he can do for him. The officer says, "I'm here to inspect your property for illegally grown drugs." The old gentleman says, "Well, you go right ahead, but whatever you do, don't go into that field over yonder," pointing out a fenced parcel of land. The officer says, "Mister, I'm a law enforcement officer authorized by the federal government of our nation." Reaching into his pocket, he removes his badge and shoves it right in the old boy's face. "You see my badge, buddy? This badge means that I'm allowed to go wherever I wish, anytime I wish. Do you understand me? No questions asked?" The old gentleman nodded his head yes politely, softly apologized, and went about his chores. A short time later, the old gentleman heard someone screaming in absolute terror, coming from where he told the officer not to go. He looked over at the pasture and saw the officer running for his life, chased by a very angry bull. With every step, the bull was gaining ground on the officer, and it appeared likely that the policeman would be gored by the bull's horns before he could reach safety. Realizing the horrible danger that the policeman was in, the old gentleman ran to the field's fence as fast as he could, determined to do whatever he could to help. Reaching the edge of the pasture, the old gentleman quickly climbed to the top of the fence, waving his arms frantically, and screamed at the very top of his voice, "Your badge, officer, show him your badge." 2 men went bear hunting. While one stayed in the cabin, the other went out looking for a bear. He soon found a huge bear, shot at it but only wounded it. The enraged bear charged toward him. He dropped his rifle and started running for the cabin as fast as he could. He ran pretty fast, but the bear was just a little faster and gained on him with every step. Just as he reached the open cabin door, he tripped and fell flat. Too close behind to stop, the bear tripped over him and went rolling into the cabin. The man jumped up, closed the cabin door, and yelled to his friend inside, "You skin this one while I go and get another one."
Akpos, why are all these people running? Man, this is a race, the winner will get the cup. Akpos, if only the winner will get the cup, why are others running?
A policeman was interrogating 3 blondes who were training to become detectives. A policeman was interrogating 3 blondes who were training to become detectives. To test their skills in recognizing a suspect, he shows the first blonde a picture for 5 seconds, and then hides it. "This is your suspect, how would you recognize him?" The first blonde answers, "That's easy, we'll catch him fast. Because he only has one eye." The policeman says, "Well, that's because the picture shows his profile." Slightly flustered by this ridiculous response, he flashes the picture for 5 seconds at the second blonde and asks her, "This is your suspect, how would you recognize him?" The second blonde giggles, flips her hair and says, "Ha! He'd be too easy to catch because he only has one ear." The policeman angrily responds, "What's the matter with you? 2? Of course only one eye and one ear are showing. Because it's a picture of his profile. Is that the best answer you can come up with?" Extremely frustrated at this point, he shows the picture to the third blonde and in a very testy voice asks, "This is your suspect, how would you recognize him?" He quickly adds, "Think hard before giving me a stupid answer." The blonde looks at the picture intently for a moment and says, The suspect wears contact lenses." The policeman is surprised and speechless because he really Doesn't know himself if the suspect wears contacts or not. Well, that's an interesting answer. Wait here for a few minutes while I check his file and I'll get back to you on that. He leaves the room and goes to his office, checks the suspect's file in his computer, and comes back with a beaming smile on his face. Wow! I can't believe it, it's true. The suspect does in fact wear contact lenses. Good work. How were you able to make such an astute observation? That's easy, the blonde replied. He can't wear regular glasses because he only has one eye and one ear. Hey there. I put a lot of effort into making these videos, so please subscribe for more jokes and stay happy. Thank you.